for Whitby. I'm in economic development for Oshawa, and we do it well, ladies and gentlemen. Now I want to talk about debt and deficit. That's what the province is facing. That's what the federal government's facing. And so we have to understand that they're under tremendous pressure too. So what is the most responsible? If they are going to dump the 407 at Simcoe Street, that in my estimation is not responsible. If they have to take it back to the lake where it transitions to the 401, I think that's more responsible than just getting it a few kilometers. Remember, Lake Ridge Road is in Ajax and the Whitby, western quarter Whitby, so Whitby won't benefit too much by this either. But I think we've got to understand that when we're in these economic situations, you either take it right to Curtis Road or the 115, or if debt and deficit is the concern, take it to Lake Ridge Road. But please don't dump it out into our local roads. It just won't work. And I want to also state, along the 407, I support development on both sides of the 407. Look what the other communities have done. We can repeat that same success story here in Oshawa.
I still can't see how the Lake Ridge solution would be a solution. Traffic, when you go down Lake Ridge Road, at any point in time, when you've got a high volume of traffic, is backed up. So why is anybody going to leave the 407 and go down Lake Ridge to get to the 401? Because you're just going to end up with a jam up of traffic. They're still going to try and find their way through all of the rural roads and all of the side roads, through Whitby, through Oshawa. So the idea of thinking that the link at Lake Ridge is going to solve any kind of traffic problem is ridiculous, because the volume of traffic is not going to be able to disperse going down the link. They're just going to realize that they're going to be speeding towards another traffic jam. So they're not going to pay on the 407 to go down Lake Ridge and then hit some traffic. We're looking at dispersing traffic at the northern part of Oshawa and Whitby. And so the Lake Ridge link is simply not going to solve that issue. The only way it's going to happen is to go all the way around all of the built-up areas so that that traffic can disperse in a realistic fashion. And the other part of that is that we're simply not going to see the kind of economic development from that if the city of Oshawa doesn't have the 407 right through.
You know, one of the problems we have here is we should invite the Minister of Transportation out here on a Friday afternoon of a long weekend for a 5 o'clock meeting and see how long it takes for her to get here. I gotta tell you, we heard from the MPP in Peterborough. I wrote every MPP in the province of Ontario and sent them a letter asking them to explain to me how I could explain to you why I would stop at Simcoe Street. When I come to Columbus that night, and I'll be there, I'll bring the file so you can see it. And the Minister of Transportation was one of the last people to respond to me, but before she did, the Premier responded to me and blamed the Minister of Transportation. Now, not only did he blame the Minister of Transportation, almost every person that wrote back to me blamed the Minister of Transportation. They just don't get it. They think Toronto is the world, and east of Toronto is nothing. And that is so wrong. We are 650,000 people in the region of Durham that have a voice. And they need to understand that the days of them walking over us in healthcare and in roads and services, how many of us were stopped in traffic tonight on the way here on the 401? You only have to see what's going on outside to know that it has to be built.
Hello. Yeah, I'd like to respond to the mayor's comment here that the industrial and commercial department is working very well in Oshawa here. He says it's doing a great job. And as usual, the mayor looks at these problems with rose-colored glasses. And until you recognize a problem, you're not going to see any kind of solution to it. All you have to do is come along a Concord Road or the baseline from Whitby, and you'll notice all of that commercial development on both the town line and Whitby and the baseline, and it stops as soon as you get to the Oshawa border. Why? Because of the drastically increased industrial and commercial taxes when you hit Oshawa. So we're not going to attract any industry here until we do something about becoming competitive with those tax rates. And the only kind of job increase we've had here in Oshawa is commercial jobs, but we have a net loss of industrial jobs out of Oshawa, and those are the high-paid skilled jobs that we want to keep right here. We need industry here to keep those jobs.
Since 2006, the Development Services Committee that I chair there's been 5,000 building permits issued, representing $1.5 billion of value, and that's across all sectors equally. So that is real investment, and that is building the tax base, and that is important. The 407, there is not a better infrastructure project for the province of Ontario to invest in, but they have to look east. And just because they do not have a lot of MPs out here, once you hit Whitby, should not matter. They should be doing what's right for the entire province, and we must make this case. This is a battle that the region and the city cannot lose.
Yes, we've heard from John Henry. I would send out all his letters. We've heard of everybody from 407. We've heard from Peterborough. But why didn't we hear from anybody from City Hall? Why weren't they at Queen's Park asking the questions on the 407? It's great to pass the buck, but get out there and go with your community. You have to be in Queen's Park every day. Drive it, get it, until he listens. But I see people just sending letters and no one going there talking to him directly. I think we had somebody who was doing that. 407 may have been a better idea and all the way through. Thank you.
Okay,